So another result, Gerry, our flat at home, great overseas. What's wrong at home?
Well, there's not a lot of confidence out there at the moment. I mean, I went and talked to a couple of tradespeople this morning and they said, gee, business is quiet. And I said, oh, you blokes, I thought you'd know. What sort of trades? Oh, electrician, plumber, builder, that sort of thing. And I said, oh, I thought you'd be pretty busy. No, it's very quiet. I said, oh. So there's a thing out there at the moment where there's not a lot of confidence. It's dropped off to where it was a year ago or 2 years ago. And that's why you're going to see the Reserve Bank drop its interest rates. It won't have any choice. It's a matter of how quickly does this happen.
Are you saying that house prices are an important driver of business for you?
So when they're building more houses, of course we get more business. But, you know, there's a situation out there where people don't sell their house and then they start renovating it. So then we look at what can we sell people, new carpet, a new bathroom, a new kitchen. So we concentrate in that area. So, and when they're building new houses, we concentrate in our commercial division trying to sell builders lots of cookers or sinks or whatever, taps. So when the market changes, we change with it and just try to exploit it in the best way possible.
But did you get over the housing boom of the 5 years before, year before last, were you getting like record sales?
Yes.
And therefore you're pulling back from record sales?
Yes.
But what are these sales like on a historical average basis? Are they pretty good
okay.
sales?
No, they're okay.
Okay.
So we're not in a situation where business is crook. Right? What we're looking at is saying we can't beat last year's sales. We're flat out getting last year's sales because we've had a good few years. The wonderful thing was Perth in the mining boom. We got 20% growth, then got 20% on top of that, and then 10% on top of that. And then you go into a year where you go 5% backwards. It's terrible. But holy Moses, you went up over 50% in 3 years.
Okay. Gerry, I heard you talking on the Your Money channel. You seem to be pretty down on the media. Do you think the media is making it worse for the economy and for you, particularly driving on the house price collapse that they always want to go on?
If you want to sell, if you want your media to work, you've got to tell stories that are like that. So it's a terrible situation. You got to make things worse than they are because you sell more newspapers or more people watch your television, listen to your radio. So a bad story, always.
Are they exaggerating how bad things are?
Well, yes and no. But
you're going soft on the media here now.
Yeah, but it doesn't help overall if your media is not being positive, obviously. But it doesn't work for them when they're positive, so they become negative. So it's got a self-fulfilling situation.
Do you think that the sales you're seing after Christmas, because this profit you've reported, which was up, 7%, but driven mainly from overseas rather than locally, do you think what you're seeing across January and early February is making you
nervous?
Nervous, right?
We had some promotions last year, so our sales drop in January, February might be a bit of an aberration. Right. So when we get through March, April, May, and if that hasn't improved, I'll be a bit more than nervous then. I'll be thinking, holy hell, what do we do now to try and correct this? And if the economy is in such a state that it doesn't matter what you do, you can't correct it, and then you're really working overtime, and then you've got people going broke and things like that, and then your economy's going backwards, that'll be a real worry. I don't frankly see that happening, but I don't think it's impossible to think that it's going to be more difficult in the next 12 months than it's been in the previous 12 months.
Amazon, is Amazon taking any sales off you at all?
No. If it is, I haven't noticed.
Right. How much are you selling online now?
We sell quite a lot online.
Percentage-wise of your
total
sales?
It's hard to tell because it's a seamless thing. A lot of people go online and they search and then they come into the shop and And they sometimes buy in the shop, and then sometimes they go back and buy online. And for us to work out what is an online sale, it's very difficult. So we just say, oh, well, they went and, as long as they purchased online, it's an online sale. But that very easily could have been a shop sale that they just went back and purchased online.
Have you ever looked at what Amazon's doing and thought, well, some of that we can do, that's a good idea, and therefore I'll just mimic them and just make sure they don't take business? There's nothing they do.
Never.
No.
So Amazon is a born failure. They've been out there for 25 years in retail and never made money, ever. And guess what? In the next 25 years, they will never make money. So what are Amazon going to do? They're going to concentrate somewhere else where they can make money. They're not going to continually keep losing money in retail. They'll be there for retail just so they can make some money out of something else.
But Gerry, there's a bit of a problem here, because you think the market's crazy that they don't buy your stock. You point out you've got a very good dividend. But here, and you make profit. These guys don't make profit, and the share price goes through the roof. What's going on there?
Well, unfortunately, all the people that are buying it are mad. And then one day the chook will come home to roost, and they'll lose all their money, and they'll wonder why. They'll think, oh, gee, maybe that wasn't real bright, you know.
Do you think your business now, because it's a mature business, that in a sense you are dependent upon the economy? If the economy is going to boom, you boom. If the economy is going to be subdued, you'll be subdued, and therefore your big prospect is overseas. This is where you can make a big splash.
Well, no, it was always like that. When I'm a little business, it's no different to when you're a big business. The economy's good and you're a little business, you're going well.
But you should tell me you were just a great retailer. That's why you used to do well.
Well, I've got some form, okay? The form is that I've been doing it all my life, and I'm one of the great survivors. And I think if you look in Australian history, I've sold more fridges or washing machines than anyone ever has in Australian history, okay? So there were a lot of retailers around when I was a young bloke, and when I was a middle-aged bloke, there were a lot of retailers. Now I'm an old bloke, there are not a lot of retailers. If you were to buy a fridge, who do I go to? Harvey Norman, Good Guys. Hang on a second, I better look and see who else there is. Because there's not a lot of competition out there, so there's very few survivors.
I guess Bing Lee would probably say he's around.
I forgot them. Yeah, Bing Lee. Yeah. But they're only in New South Wales, so if I was in any other state in Australia, I'm presuming your program doesn't just go to New South Wales.
We're national.
Okay, so all those other states have never heard of Bing Lee. Okay, so Bing Lee are here, and they're another one, yes. But my point is there are not many. You know?
Okay, so how come overseas likes Harvey Norman? And is it called Harvey Norman in Croatia, in Slovenia and Malaysia?
Sure. So when we go overseas, we went to New Zealand first, and that's hugely successful. Like we own a lot of real estate there, we're a dominant player in New Zealand, like we are in Australia. Then we went to Singapore and Malaysia, and we've struggled there for 20 years nearly. But now we're starting to see growth. And when you go to Singapore, you think, who are our opposition? We've got Courts and Best Denki and Harvey Norman. Who's the best operator now? Harvey Norman. Then we go to Malaysia. Who have we got as opposition? We go through all our opposition. We've got a better offer than anyone else in Malaysia. So if we've got a better offer than anyone else, so we've only got 10 stores, let's go to 20. Now, we're not at 20 yet, we're 18 or something. So we've got a few more, we'll be 20 in a minute. And we're looking at that, so we can put 40 here, no trouble. 60. How long will it take us to put another 20 stores in Malaysia? That's our best growth area at the moment. We've got a lot of potential there. There's 31 million, 32 million people there, 25 million people in Australia. It's a very strong economy growing, quite a long way behind Australia in terms of the wages they pay and things like that, but still a lot of growth. And if you're in a growth economy and you've got a product that's the equal or better than any of your competitors, guess what? It's going to work. So if you look at it and think, I've got that, you can be pretty confident it's going to work. Now, on the other hand, if you looked at it and said, there are two other people that are doing a better job than me and I can't get myself to that standard, I don't want to be in that market, right? I'll go to the market where I think I can dominate, make a difference and make a profit. And all those countries we're in, Slovenia, Croatia, exactly the same thing. Ireland, the same thing.
So do you think the short sellers who have been nasty to you in the past, do you think they're going to start seeing you differently because of this result?
They're going to learn a lesson one day. I'll get those guys. They're out there to get me, okay? And my message to them is, guess what? I'm out there to get you too, okay? So I'm only going to get you if I perform. And there's no way I'm not going to perform. I'm going to perform in Australia, New Zealand and all those overseas countries, and you will rue the day you sold those shares. It's just a matter of time.
Because the share price, I saw you 6 months ago, it was around $3.71, and it's now $3.67 because you went for a dip like most other shares do.
We went down to $2.99 at one stage.
And did you go long Harvey Norman then?
I went and put another 80 million of my money in buying Harvey Norman shares.
You should be a hedge fund manager, you're so good.
Well, it's funny you should say that. I should be, shouldn't I?